Hey guys, so something I'm not hearing people talk about much anymore is what do you do when you're out fishing and it starts to snow? Well, one of the best lures of all times for the snow is a buzzbait, believe it or not. It's got something to do with the low pressure, the low light, the shad kill, things like that, which pull fish out and away from cover, get fish up towards the surface of the water so that they're more susceptible to a buzzbait. It's been a technique that's won multiple big tournaments over the years, late in the fall, early winter generally, or even, late winter, early spring snows, middle of the winter snow with really, really cold water, probably not going to work. But that early winter, late winter, early spring, late fall snowstorms, pull that buzzbait out and you can really catch them. So I want to talk about today, speaking of the buzzbait, is do you just pull a buzzbait out of the package and throw it? Well, you certainly can do that, and some of them will certainly catch fish, some catch them better than others. But I want to talk today about how do you get the most out of your buzzbait? How do you modify a buzzbait out of the package to make it work at its optimum? So stay tuned, we're going to talk about that right now. So you can take any old standard buzzbait. First, let's just kind of talk real quick about the different ones that are available to you. You got the old standard buzzbait. This is a 1/4 ounce version. Here's a 1/2 ounce version with a clacker on it for dirty water situations. Then you get different configurations with gold blades and skirts to regular nickel blades and some type of swim bait or something on them. I like to oftentimes throw like a white Z-crawl or a black or a dark June bug or something Z-crawl on them. And the advantage of a Z-crawl is it's kind of flat, so any kind of creature bait really will catch them. But it's kind of flat, so it keeps the bait up and you can reel it a lot slower. Some of these other things that people throw would include horny toads in black or white. And now I'm a big proponent of throwing black or throwing white, or something really dark or something really light. Now there's nothing wrong with throwing mixtures of black and blue, and there's nothing wrong with throwing white with some other color mixed in it, or white and chartreuse. Here's another buzzbait, old double buzzer, that a lot of people really don't throw too much anymore, but there's situations where that will work really well too. But so how do you modify these buzzbaits? Well, you take your buzzbait like you have this one here out of the package, and the first thing you want to do is you want to take the rivet off. Tear a pair of needle nose pliers or something and straighten that little piece of wire out there and pull the rivet off. Then you want to take the blade off, and after you take the blade off, you want to get a drill bit that's a little bit bigger than the existing hole, and you simply drill out the existing hole a little bit bigger than it was before. Not too big, or you'll ruin your blade. You'll ruin your blade because it'll just take too much of the body of it out. But you want it, like one size bigger than what you have there now. So once you've drilled that out, you want to just double check and make sure that your little tabs, top and bottom, are at a 90 degree to the blade, right? 90 degrees to the blade. If they're not, if they're bent up or bent down, then they're going to restrict the rotation of the blade because it's not going to sit on your blade right. So then you're going to put it back on your wire, and then the next thing you want to do is this rivet here. See, you want to take that rivet and you want to either take a piece of sandpaper and scuff this flat edge up, or what I like to do is take a hacksaw blade and cut a little X in it on both sides. But the key is you just want to get it scuffed up a little bit. And what that scuff does is that creates the squeak on your blade. And it being loose on here operates much freer and makes the blade wobble a little bit and do what you want it to do, which makes a noise. And you put your little rivet back on again. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the rivet in a second, because there's more than one way to skin a cat here. Put your rivet back on, bend your thing back over, but you're not done here. Because what you want to do next is you want to pinch that rivet down onto the wire. If you don't pinch that rivet back down onto the wire nice and tight, then the rivet just spins. The rivet just spins along with the blade, and you don't get that friction that you need to have. Now there's a couple other things that you can do here, and I'll show you one here that I've got on here. Notice that rivet, how brown it is? That's because that's a steel rivet. These other rivets are either aluminum or stainless. So for best effect, you want to replace the aluminum rivet that's on your buzzbait with a stainless steel rivet, because it's harder, it squeaks better. Or even better yet, a steel one. And the steel one, it'll rust, and it'll really get loud and squeaky and make a lot of extra noise for you. So you want to do that is put a steel rivet on or a stainless steel rivet on for best results. But if you don't have those available, you can get them at any hardware store. If you don't have those available, you can use the aluminum rivet that's there. Just make sure you pinch it down and rough it up. So that being modified, now you can put whatever you want on there on the back of it. So let's talk about, what do you put on a buzzbait? You can just put a skirt on there. But if you put a skirt on there, you always want to throw a trailer hook, because that skirt doesn't create any suction for the fish. So a lot of times they'll short strike and miss these baits because there's not enough there for the fish to suck in when he's coming up to get it. So that trailer hook hanging down sometimes will get those fish. So that's the key. When you put a body on a buzzbait, like this Z-Crawl, or one of these swim baits, or a horny toad, it creates something that the fish can actually suck down. So whenever I put a body type bait on a buzzbait, sometimes I leave the skirt on there and put the body on there, sometimes I don't. Just play around with it, see what works best. You don't need to throw the trailer hook. I don't throw the trailer hook, and I hook up almost 100% of the time on a fish that's really, serious about eating it. You not somebody that's swirling on it, he's not going to get it whether you had a trailer hook on there or not. But it creates a suctionable bait for that fish to actually pull down and get. Now, if the fish are really, really active, you're going to want to move the bait quick with a larger blade most of the time, make some noise. If the water's dirty or muddy, or you're fishing through heavy vegetation, you're going to want to throw a clacker on there to have some more drawing power. If you look at this blade here, see this blade, how it just has a little bit of a bend? And this blade has a lot of bit of a bend. Well, this bait here with more bend to the tip of the blade is going to have a lot more lift than this bait. So this bait is meant to be moved faster, because if you slow it down, it's going to sink. This bait, you can really slow it down because the blade has more cup to it, and you can take this blade here and you can literally just take a pair of pliers and bend it the way that you want to bend it, and that'll give it more lift. But sometimes if the fish, are very inactive, sometimes you may want a bigger blade and a really small type bait, something that you could just crawl along. And of course you want the head of the bait not to be real heavy, 1/4 ounce or even 1/8 of an ounce sometimes, like this one, a small head, a light head that is not going to sink real quick. The problem with some of the smaller head ones is the blades are small too. And that may be fine if that's what they're after. If the fish are after a bunch of little tiny bait, then you're going to want to throw maybe a little white Z-crawl on there. If the fish are after great bigger baits, then you may want to throw a horny toad or a big white creature type bait on there. And if they're kind of coming up shy on a buzzbait, then you may do away with the buzzbait altogether and just reel the Z-crawl across the top of the surface, or a weightless horny toad or something like that. So these are things that you need to consider when you're buzzbait fishing. I'm not a big proponent of having to have a certain blade color. You got black blades, you got the nickel silver blades, you can get white blades, gold blades, and red blades are the ones that I've seen, and I've even seen them anodized blue and green and everything else in the world. And I don't really think that in a buzzbait situation that makes a whole lot of difference, except that black tends to throw a bigger shadow, so it may make the bait look a little bit bigger. In dirty water, it may work a little bit better just because it gives it a little bit more of something for the fish to see. But most of the time, I throw either a nickel blade or I throw a red blade. And the reason I like the red blade is red pretty much is hard for the fish to see on top. So it kind of disappears. So I don't want them seeing that blade up front necessarily. I just want the commotion from it. So most of the time I'll throw red or silver, but I've thrown them all. Haven't seen much difference in blade color as much as I have seen in blade size, whether it's got a clacker, how much commotion it makes, or how little commotion it makes, depending on the activity level of the fish and the size of the bait that's present in the area that you're fishing. So next time you're out fishing and it's cold and they're calling for snow or expecting snow, make sure you got a buzzbait ready, because it could be the difference between having a great day or just a so-so day. Again, thanks for watching. If you want to watch my videos on a regular basis, please hit the subscribe button, the like button. Share them with your friends. Any of my videos that'll help grow the channel on any of your other social media platforms that you may be on, and on YouTube also. And it would be much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.